There it is. Live. It says live. This says always allow camera and microphone. Done. I still can't hear you. Do you have a microphone plugged in? Let me see your microphone. It still does. It still doesn't work. What the hell? Okay, maybe I muted it. No, I turned it way up. Headphones. Let's try this. Maybe my headphones are dying. I'm gonna unplug my headphones, and maybe you'll be over the speaker. Try that. Can I hear you? No, still can't hear you. It's not. Do you have your microphone muted? This is dumb. Stupid dumb. No, I can't hear nothing. I see you pounding the microphone, though.
Let me test it out.
There it is. There it is. There it is. I just heard you. I just heard you say, let me test it out. And then you went away. There it is. I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Now I can keep going. You can still hear me.
I can hear you. I repeat.
All right. We're all set.
What's going on? What? We're the only two people in the world that don't have computers that work or something?
With any consistency. Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't either. I found out that I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm on Ethernet, but my cable's old and it's really, I don't know.
Right. So did you just get a new Ethernet cable?
No, I should probably get one. I just found out that right before now.
Yeah.
That's why the internet wasn't working yesterday.
Oh yeah.
My cable had been knocked loose or whatever.
That's better in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of ways. If you can get a good cable.
And now you're clear as a bell. Look at that. Look at that.
How about that?
Yeah.
Clarity, man.
I love it.
I love it.
Once again, thanks for doing this. I love it. I love seeing you.
I know. I look forward to these. I thought we weren't going to be able to do it today, so I kind of got out of my rhythm of it or whatever. And then,
me too.
Hey, we can do it. So I was like, all right, great, let's do it.
This is cool. This is one of my favorite parts of my life right now. I'm with you.
All right.
Now, do you want to start, or do you want to? At some point, I'd love to know when you're coming out.
Yeah. All right. So here's the deal.
Okay.
Do you have your calendar in front of you?
I can get it in front of me. Let me get it.
Get it in front of you.
I'll get it in front of you. Hit me.
All right.
Get in front of me.
We're traveling. Well, this may or may not be one of my 5 best. Anyway, we'll find out.
Okay.
Are you guys around on June 26th?
June 26th. Yes, that's VBS Sunday.
Oh, balls. That might not be a good fit then.
That's okay. No, that's the end of VBS. So VBS is the 19th through the 23rd.
I know, but aren't you going to want to preach that Sunday then?
It might be at, yeah. I probably it might, because we're not hosting VBS. It might be at our host in the Presbyterian guy might be preaching.
Okay. So that's the thing. So you'll be there. I can still come see you. I just won't get to preach.
Yeah.
I don't usually like to visit people if I can't preach.
What about the 3rd of July? Why don't you do that?
Because I got a family thing, man.
Or the 19th. Why don't you come the 19th?
Of July or of June?
Of June.
That may end up happening. We'll see. That might be pushing it, though. So here's the glitch that just came up that didn't exist before. Is my kid made this regional Olympic development team.
Which one, Calvin?
In soccer. Josh in soccer.
Josh.
So, yeah. So he's got a camp at the University of Alabama from July 12th to the 17th or something like that. That week after the 4th of July is when he's got his soccer camp. So I've got to figure out how to get him there and do all that stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm around. So I don't know how far back in June I can come up, but we'll figure that out.
Okay.
But the 26th, I could probably be there for sure. I just need to figure it out.
Okay.
All right.
If we, because I don't know, I was kind of teetering on whether we would do a VBS Sunday. So we can work it out. If you come on the 26th, it's not a definite you can't preach. I might be able to work it out so you could preach.
Well, just think about it. If it makes sense, then we can do it. If not, I want to come see you either way, but it'd be fun to preach too. So
I would love that. I'd love to have you in the pulpit.
Give you a Sunday off a little bit.
Yep, and just see you
Yeah.
knocking out of the park again.
Woo! Woo! Hey, this is my first time doing stand-up, and I thought...
Try a couple jokes out on for you. All right, You started last time. I'll start it this time.
Yeah, but we got to do an introduction and welcome people to the podcast.
Five best.
All right.
This is Greg and Jason.
This is Greg and Jason's 5 Best. Thank you for joining the podcast. If you are new, this is a pretty simple format. Jason and I are old friends, and we just share the 5 best things from the last week. Jason's a pastor in rural Michigan, and I do college ministry in San Antonio, Texas. And we've known each other for a while, and we really look forward to doing this every week. We are glad you are listening. If you enjoy this at all, please subscribe. The more people that subscribe to this thing, the easier it is for other folks to find it. And we have a blast doing it. So if you don't listen, we'll still keep doing it because we like talking to each other. But if it's valuable at all, we've gotten some feedback that people enjoy it. So if you do enjoy it, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you pass it around and let your friends know about it. But you are now listening to Jason and Greg's 5 Best. So Jason, welcome aboard, man.
Thank you very much. I'll get straight into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
My number one of the 5 best is we're coming off of Lent and Easter. My 5 best it's a combination. It's a Good Friday. It was a Good Friday service, and this Presbyterian guy, I think I've already mentioned it in one of these episodes, but we tried something new. We had everybody write what they wanted to hand over to Jesus and nail it to the cross, and it was so, like I think I said the last time, I think this has been the most powerful Lent that I think I've had in my life. It was just, maybe it was moving, maybe it was just now I'm off the grid in this rural Michigan. Maybe, I don't know what the deal was, but it was really impactful. And so this Good Friday service, we nail all of our, sins or things that we want to hand over to Jesus. And then we carried the cross outside with the sins nailed to it. And if you like kind of offset these pieces of paper and light them on fire, it turns into a rose. And it was so cool, like a paper rose. And so have our sins cut. And the Presbyterian minister, a guy named Jim Roush, who was leading the service, just perfectly timed, said, as we watch God redeem and transform our concerns and our worries and our sins into this redemptive picture of a rose, go in peace, And so my first one is, and right at that moment, I kind of, it was a flashback to when I was like a sophomore or junior. I think I was a junior at Biola, and Eric Ballmer had written this worship song. Eric Ballmer is the guitarist from Plate Guy, and he wrote this song, and it's about being a new creation. So then it dovetailed with this experience, and I felt like I was brought back to my college years and my simple faith in it. I think my number one is the fact that at any point we can turn to God and go back to square one and be made into a new creation. Like oftentimes I seem too far away, or my worries are too big, or my problems are a bit too big. But I was just struck with, just this past Good Friday, it's the distance between God and I is so minuscule. Anyway, so yeah,
no, I
don't
love
know
that.
how to put it.
Yeah, I love that one. That's good. That's sort of the
this is
closeness
my only
of
one
God.
that's kind of like the closest of God. That's
Yeah. Yeah, you put it however you want. That's fine. Yeah.
I promise the next ones won't be that long.
No, that's great. I love to hear those stories because I don't get to do that stuff with you, so it's cool to hear what's happening.
Yeah.
Along those lines, this isn't one of my 5, but you reminded me because we've done all the Lent stuff and everything. I think people should hear how that ends, probably. But we did a cool sunrise service this year, and
Ooh.
our church doesn't usually do a sunrise service, and so there were a couple of us kind of really wanted to do one, and we pushed on it, and that was awesome. And that's a throwback for me, kind of like you were saying, like like the being reminded when you're in college or whatever. And I told the story a few times over the weekend with folks, but when I was in college, our school decided to do a sunrise service, and we lived in Saskatchewan, Canada, so it was just frozen and barren, and the sun comes up over the not hill because they don't exist in Saskatchewan, but over this like mound of snow, and
Okay.
and it was awesome. Like I just remember that sunrise in particular, just being just blown away by the way God. And that was for us. That was just like a week or two, or maybe just right around the same time our oldest son was born. So there's always that kind of throwback also of like, man, it was just that was a crazy cool, sort of amazing sunrise service. And then this year in Texas, it was misty, like it was like a overcast and misty morning, and we were singing "Morning Is Broken," and the second verse of that hymn is all about like dew and rain in the morning, and it's just like, wow, I don't know that you ever get the chance to sing something more like spot on accurate to what you're experiencing than that. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I love that. I dig that. This has been just an amazing Easter. It's interesting because Easter's when we really became friends. I don't know what year that was, but we came over to your house, and Bianca was living with us at the time, and we did Cascarones. And
I do remember that.
I don't know.
That was I think that was our first Easter in San Antonio, so that's probably 2006.
Yeah, that was
so this
crazy.
was our 10-year anniversary
cool.
of that. Yeah.
That's insane. 10 years?
Yeah,
that's
right.
crazy. That's insane. That's insane. But this was on the Easter side of it. This was for the Griffiths. It was the least community that we've had, but it was the most kind of family. It's just a nuclear family. It was good. It was good. It was but I'm looking forward to some community too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. All right,
that's
give me
awesome.
your number one.
I love that. So my number one, again, these are in no particular order, but this is that we should say that for folks who are just now joining us that we just list 5. They aren't necessarily like our best to worst or whatever. But my number one is this week I've been really thankful for people who are better at stuff than I am. Our website has been down. Like we've just had I finally figured out what it is, or like I didn't figure it out. My brother got on and like deleted a bunch of stuff and found what it was, and basically we just got attacked by this virus or whatever, and so it wiped out a bunch of our stuff, and it's a weirdly like you don't think of online stuff being quite as bothersome as if somebody broke into your house or something.
Yeah.
But there is a way it has a similar sort of feel to it in some ways. But it just like I just kept thinking to myself like, why attack? Like we didn't do anything to anybody. Like we weren't on any weird sites. We weren't we weren't doing anything that would make us susceptible to it. It's just that they planted a virus in something I uploaded for the site theme, like a website theme, and then it just like attacked everything else we had. So anyway, that's been cleaned up now, which is great. And that was something where I got that email and I looked at it, I was like, I have no idea what to do with this. And so I paid like $10 to have this other group come on and fix it, and they didn't fix it. And then so I was complaining about that on Easter with my brother. We were having breakfast, and I was just kind of mentioning how it stinks that I can't figure out how to fix this thing. And he goes, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I said, "Well, because I didn't think about it. It didn't occur to me to tell you." And then he goes, "Oh, well, send me the stuff. I'll fix it." And I was like, "All right." And then sure enough, like a day later, he had it fixed. So it's just like there's people in my life like that all the time who just have very specific skills that are much better at those skills than I am, and there's whole worlds of stuff I don't know, and it's always nice to be reminded of that when you have somebody there to help fix it. It's not nice to be reminded of that when you have nobody there that can help. But you think like when you go to a mechanic or something, it's like I just don't know any of this stuff, and everything you're telling me sounds crazy, but I don't have a choice. Like, yes, I'll give you $400 or whatever, but in this case, is to have people who are skilled in that that are friends that you can trust is like that's a huge. I love it that there are people that are better at that kind of stuff than I am.
I love that. Yeah, and it seems like I know you a little bit, and I know myself a little bit. That God seems to place us right in the middle of the craziest, most creative people that are really good at the randomest stuff. But actually, I'm going to switch my number 4 up to number 2. So
here we go.
Straight into it. But because it's pretty similar. Mine was just I'm thankful for the church, like capital C, because there's a lady came into my office, and she wanted some pastoral counseling. Well, actually, before she came in, I knew that what she was going to share was way over my head. So I shared this with my wife, and my wife is in a Bible study with a couple other pastors' wives, and one of the pastors' wives he graduated from Penn, and then he has a counseling degree from some seminary, I forget which one, but he's really into counseling. He's an associate pastor, but he really loves to counsel people.
That's his strength, yeah. Yeah,
that's his strength. And so he's really good at listening and walking through the valley with people. And so I met with this person, and this person, like I figured, was way over my head. And I said, I knew it. And I said, my counsel is let's find somebody for you to share this with and talk through some stuff with. And then there was some other stuff that I could kind of handle, so I wasn't totally inadequate. But we prayed together, and I called up this associate pastor, a guy named Doug Moorhead, and he was like, can I see her tomorrow? Can I see this person tomorrow? And I was just like, man, I'm so grateful that God has people that, I think of that scene in Good Will Hunting when Matt Damon he's trying to describe to Minnie Driver's character's name, I forget her name, but he says, how like Beethoven or Bach, they looked at a piano and they just got it, and like your brother, he looks at a computer and he just gets it, and he's honed those skills, and he's done some research and stuff like that. Yeah. Just like this Pastor Doug Moorhead, he looks at counseling and he sees these problems, and he just gets it. He just gets what you're supposed to do, and I am super grateful for that too. I'm so glad that the church is the church, and that the many members have many skills, and many ways of looking at the world. And
do you remember this is a totally random. It's not random because it's about what you're talking about, but it's a totally like way throwback memory. Do you remember when when we used to do those pool Bible studies at the Heights pool?
I do remember that.
Yeah, so the first time you taught one of those, this was what you taught on. I don't know if you remember that or not, but you were teaching on the body, and like Paul's image of we all have these different roles and parts, and together we make up the body, but nobody's more useless or more useful than any other part of the body. The reason I remember it is because your example was the appendix.
Yeah.
which was a really bad example, because we do get rid of the appendix.
Yeah. I think I meant pancreas.
Yeah, because your point was like, hey, we can't get rid of anything. Like we need the body. Like we can't just cut out the appendix. It's like,
actually,
I think
I just had my appendix out.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But on the flip side of that is this is one of every time you seem to compliment me on something, but this is one of your great strengths, I think, is your ability to develop friendships across lines where people would normally say you can't develop friendships, so that you have so that when this happens, you love the Big C Capital Church because you love all the people from all those different churches.
I dig it. And
you love those relationships, and you're great at developing those relationships, and that's one of the reasons you and I became friends in the first place. So that's really cool to see that. Yeah. All right.
What's your number?
That's enough sappy crap. All right, number 2. I talked about this last year, but I'm pulling it back again this year because it's good, and I'm more convinced of it now than before. I'm just gonna go on record and say I think Easter is the best holiday. I was thinking more about it again, and like I will take Easter hymns over Christmas hymns any day of the week. I'll take Easter candy over Christmas candy. The only thing Christmas has as an advantage that I can figure out at all is that they get like 2 weeks off of school. But as like just the holiday itself,
Yeah.
I mean I think the real problem is the Christmas hymns are known because they're thought of, like, people start singing them after Thanksgiving and they sing them for months, right? But the Easter hymns don't work that way. And so when you actually sing Easter hymns, they just jump out at you as so like victorious, and I love the energy of Easter, and all of that stuff is way better. Candy is way better. The actual practice of the holiday, I think, is largely better. Like, I think Holy Week is an amazing lead up to Easter. I don't think Christmas has that piece. Advent is great, but it's no Lent. Who are we kidding, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah. There's less presents, so it's a little bit less commercial, which I like. Like, I don't know. To me, I'm all in on Easter. That's my. I've decided.
I'm with you. I'm 100% behind you, and I think I like a couple Christmas hymns, but nowhere
so do
near
I.
as
Like,
much
and
as
this is not a.
I love a Holy
Christmas.
Night. Yeah.
I love Christmas too, but my whole life, I think, if you had asked, I always said Christmas was my favorite holiday. But I don't think it is. Like, the more I celebrate Easter, and the more I'm aware of the patterns of Easter and Lent and Holy Week, like, Easter's way better. It's just, and it's, N.T. Wright's sort of famous for saying that if you got rid of the Christmas story, you would lose like 3 chapters of the Bible, but if you got rid of Easter, you would lose the whole New Testament. And it's like,
and then another N.T. Wright quote from, just because I was going through his, his Easter devotional for this year in Lent was, Easter's always a surprise. It's always a surprise. And it's so accessible, and I love that. You kind of ridiculous. You'd be kind of a fool to buy into the Easter Bunny stuff. But I ran across some people that did it, it confounds me, because I was about to say right before they went off on like how proud they were that their kids still believed in the Easter Bunny, but I was about to say, who's stupid enough to believe in this? And that's one of the things I like about Easter. Is like, it was crazy. Did you see Ashton Kutcher? Ashton Kutcher, I think it was on Monday night. He was on Jimmy Kimmel, and it was so interesting because he was like, I was debating in my mind. We were debating. He was talking about they're raising their kid, and they said, we're not going to even go into the Easter Bunny. We're not with Santa Claus. Yeah, we're probably going to go into that Santa, but the Easter Bunny really doesn't get us anything, because we already have to describe the mystery of the resurrection. And he was like, it was interesting because I think that's the first time I've heard resurrection on a late night talk show. And it's from Ashton Kutcher, Yeah,
exactly who you thought it would come from.
Yeah, he started as punk, like, it was interesting. It was so accessible, and it's so it's like a wall you can't really get around. I don't think you can if Jesus is risen from the dead and conquered death and taken its sting away, it's we mark our calendars by it. It's changed everything. Anyway, so I'm with you. Easter is better than Christmas. But this isn't like I said, like you said, it's not I hate Christmas. It's good.
Yeah, no. It's just every year I'm surprised by it, because we make such a big deal out of Christmas, and we spend so much money on Christmas. And I will. One other advantage Christmas may have is the actual holy days readings are better at Christmas.
Yeah,
because that's like Easter readings, like the day of Easter readings, are really, like, I told my congregation this year, but they're mostly boring. Like, it's just people showing up not finding what they were looking for. Like,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, which is fun. We know what that means, but
This was my best Easter sermon, and I think it's because I started with the fact that the resurrection is too big of a I always walk away from Easter Sundays, even if you do all the readings and you preach all the texts and you nail it, there's no way you're going to cover the resurrection. There's just no
right. And the church calendar gives us 6 Sundays for it on purpose, right? Like we get Easter for 6 Sundays.
Yeah. So okay, good.
Yeah.
I'll go into my number 3.
Sure.
I have to rework some stuff. Hold on. Okay, I had to throw 2 together to fit some. Anyway, 2 shows that are coming off of HBO right now. One is Vinyl. One's Togetherness.
Okay.
Vinyl. It was this last episode that I was sticking with the show.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about that show. So.
Yeah, it's I don't know why I'm sticking with it, but this last one, it made it worth it. Like when
okay.
I love it when shows turn their eyes onto something worth talking about, worth looking at, and up to this point, it's kind of been just kind of a rock and roll's messed up. We got drugs, we got sex, we got messed up people, but they turn their eyes on addiction, and it dovetails with the show Elementary. I don't know if you've watched that show.
Yeah, have we talked about that one before? Maybe we haven't. But okay.
I love that they Sherlock's an addict, and I love those episodes when it ends with everybody's eyes on that. Because we're all addicted to wrong stuff, and we're all messed up in so many ways. But the Vinyl, this last episode, it did that. It turned you just see it almost ended in the same way that the movie Unforgiven ends.
Okay.
What if the world what if the world was like a way that, what if you weren't forgiven? What if there's no place that you could get grace? What if the best that you could do is the worst part about you? That's, and so it kind of ended with that question. So I liked it. Togetherness, two episodes ago, 2 weeks ago. It ends. I don't know if you've seen that show.
I've seen the first season of that show. I think I didn't stick with it.
Yeah, the main character, he's a messed up guy, and his wife ends up cheating with somebody else on him, and so he's totally in this dark place where he's doesn't know which way's up and that kind of thing. The main character's wife, her sister is a character played by Amanda Peet, and she's my favorite part of the show. And she's been classically like this older woman, in her 40s, who doesn't want kids and is just all about herself.
Yeah, just can't get out of her own way.
Yeah. And 2 episodes ago, the ending was she's having a change of heart because she ends up watching her sister's kids for a day, and you could just watch her transformation. And it ends with her going to her boyfriend and saying, I think I want kids. And her boyfriend saying, well, you go for it because I don't want kids ever. And then she goes to this character that's had his wife has just cheated on him. He's at the bottom of his pit. So it's deep talking to deep right at the end of right at the end of the show. And she says, I want to have kids. And then he starts a sentence. He says, well, I think, and then she finishes it. She finishes it with like all these dark things. She says, you think I'm a screw up. You think I'm a moron. You think I'm foolish. And he says, no, I think you are one of the most tenacious people I've ever met. And I think you would make an amazing mom. And then she says, thanks. And then it ends. Like the credits roll. But it's just that moment.
Yeah.
Is, I don't know, that's worth its weight. It's gold. That dog will hunt. That'll preach. But it impacts. It's like,
yeah.
I love that. It goes. Both of them go to a deeper kind of truth that I really like. That HBO kind of is selling on these 2 shows is that is our humanity and our messed upness is the is the strongest bridge. It's the strongest bridge between us. You know, it's really good. I like that. So that's my number 3. Is HBO's look at the depravity of humans.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know I love depravity, so I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take it one step further. Yeah.
No, I'm with you, and there is something. It may just be that I've wondered this before, that really the best art can do is force us to see and name that darkness, right?
Yeah.
Like and it's one of the reasons. This is a weird spiral that I never thought we were going to go to today, but it's one of the reasons, like the Thomas Kincaid kind of stuff and the Christian bookstore sort of art is so offensive in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't name anything true, right? It names what we project out into the world, or it sort of shows how kind of shallow our hopes are.
Yeah.
But then when you have, there is that other piece here of, man, but you can do art and you can do music and you can do movies and shows that are honest about brokenness in a way that, you know, that if you can name, and that doesn't save you, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't rescue us from that, but there is something super, super hopeful and necessary about knowing that or naming that.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I don't know if you've had this experience, but I'm shocked by the number of adults I encounter who think they're basically good people.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to me. I don't know what sort of formation hasn't been done in their life that they just think they're basically good. And it's like, what sort of bar do you operate with that you could be a 60-year-old adult and be a basically good person? And it's weird. It throws me off.
It throws me off too, and I think it points to the fact that I think both of you and I think we love the darkness that the redemption brings, you know. And I think that Precious Moments and the Thomas Kincaid skipping over the question and going straight to the joy, it lacks work. It's like you've simplified the most you've oversimplified the most simple equation.
Yeah, I think you're right. It lacks an honesty, right? Or an authenticity that's just missing. I don't know, and it's possible. So I will start with, it's possible that you and I are just way wrong about this. That you know, that maybe it's just you and I are so broken that's why we see it everywhere, and I'm okay with that. That's a possibility. It doesn't seem to be the case to me in history. Or I think if anybody spends any time with themselves in serious reflection, they don't come away happy.
Yeah.
It's just not good. It's we shouldn't love what we find there all the time, and it's, you know, I don't know.
I'll tell you a story before we go on to the next one. But when I was at Biola, I went to 3 years. I squeezed 4 years of undergrad into 6.
Yeah.
And so I did 3 at the JC, and then I did 3 at the Biola University. And the 2 that I lived on campus at Biola, I didn't have a TV. My roommate and I were pretty committed to just kind of unplug whatever. So in the middle of that, this movie called Seven came out, and I hadn't seen a commercial. I didn't know what it was about.
Yeah.
But I walked into the theater, and it starts with a quote. I forget who it's from, but it says, you know, it's Morgan Freeman's voice saying, you know, I believe that man is mostly bad, but can be good some of the time, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it goes through this, you know, the 7 deadly sins, and it ends with Morgan Freeman saying, I believe in the first half of that quote. And, and I remember thinking, this is more potent and more powerful than all of the Christian art I had seen up to that point.
Yeah.
Because it's real. Like it's just stripped down to, and this is I think it was that a Christopher Nolan movie? I don't know who.
No, it's I think it's David Fincher.
Yeah, Fincher. And it's David Fincher. But he's not a theologian or anything. Like I haven't studied him.
No, but he's dark.
Yeah, but he's dark. But I think hitting that nail on the head. I think that's exactly. Like, I think that is the piece that we as the pastors, I think we need. I love proclaiming that. I love drawing everyone into the brokenness so that the Redeemer can do the redemption, you know?
Yeah, because this is back to our, like, it's the same dynamic of, like, it seems weird to say we love that connection or we love that reality, but the other part of it is we genuinely love transformation. And that just doesn't happen if you can't spot your brokenness. Like, if there's not a deep sort of, like, if you aren't aware of the deep places in you that need fixing or need redeeming, then it makes the entire work and process unnecessary or shallow, right?
Yeah.
It's that sort of I kind of think of this also. You'll probably get mad at this one, but I sort of think of it, the Coldplay song, the "I Will Fix You" or whatever that is. That the song? I'm trying to think.
I will fix you.
Yeah. That one always rubs me the wrong way because there is an element to it that's true, which I think the element of, like, you're broken and I'm broken and I'll sit with you in your brokenness and you can sit with me in my brokenness. That part of that song is really true.
Yeah.
But and I think this is where we would really push eventually, which is if all we do is sit with our brokenness, then we never get better.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, and this is why it's so important that we have that we have Jesus, right? This is that we need an outsider to rescue us.
Yeah.
I don't think our own devices, we're just stuck.
I don't think we like darkness for darkness' sake. I think we like
No.
darkness because the light and I know, and I can only speak for myself, but when I look at the darkest parts of myself, and I've been shown them through a friend or through scripture or through, circumstances, and God has transformed those. It goes back to my first one. I love that new creation. I love.
Yeah.
And unless we realize we need to be a new creation, we're out of luck, You can't look at a Thomas Kincaid painting and say, "Oh man, I need redemption."
Right.
What you need is
unless it's for my judgmentalism. I might need redemption for that.
This is a PG podcast, so I won't go any further. Get us out of here. Hit the gas pedal. Am I supposed to go or are you supposed to go?
I think I'm up. I think I'm on number 3.
Okay, go.
I think your number 3 was those 2 shows.
Yeah.
All right. There is a Michael Frost is a missiologist from Australia. Yeah, he's really good, and he does this thing called bells, and he talks about these rhythms. Bells stands for being a blessing, eating with others, listening for God, learning from God's word, and then I can never remember the S. It's like sending out or sharing or something. Anyway, those aren't
probably the most important one.
It's whatever.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
it could be Superman.
It could be
Superman.
Yeah, listen, for all I know, it's a small s, and it's just to make sure the word's plural. I'm pretty sure. But I do. The thing I love about that is I've been drawn again to sort of rule of life kind of stuff, which is this kind of older Christian practice of being intentional about the way you spend your time and what you do with your body and your habits and all of that kind of stuff. And And that one to me is a really simple rhythm that allows us to focus outside of the church in some cases, or in most cases, and to do really good missional work, but also to share that with folks who don't necessarily have like all of the Christian stuff figured out yet. And what I was thinking about particularly is like I work with college kids all the time, and there is an element where the best we can do is say, hey, tell them to come to our event, right? Like grab a buddy and bring them out. And that's important. And it's an important step in learning the Christian life and learning to kind of share, even though they can't really share in that setting, right? Like they're just bringing them to bowling or whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
But there's this bells thing. The thing I like about it is you don't have to lead a Bible study. You don't have to be like this like over the top brilliant scholar who can run a small group or whatever. Like no, you do the things you should be doing anyway in your Christian life, right? To be a blessing, that means all kinds of different things, right? Like it means helping your roommate out. It means moving a guy onto campus, whatever it is, right? And then eating with other people and just being intentional about who you eat with and making new friends that way. Like I don't know. There's a bunch to that. It's really simple, but I love really simple tools like that are transferable and have just a ton of fruit in them. Like I think there's a lot to that piece. So.
And walk me through where you find this bells, and then what's the bells stand for again?
All right. So the bells is the B is be a blessing. I think it's to 3 people, and at least one of them has to be from outside of your church. The E is eat with 3 people, and one of them has to be from outside of your church. One of the L's is listen for God's voice, which is prayer. One of the L's is learn from God's word, which is scripture study. And then the last L is share your story, I think. That's the way I teach it. I'm not sure that last S is right. But he just put this out on Nav Press in like a 80-page book or something. It's oh man, look up Michael Frost and
I will.
It's it's something like How to Change the World, but I'm not sure that's exactly.
As long as you can point us in the right direction where we can find it, I think that's all we need, dude. And I read that article on what's his face, Trump, the British guy. Spot on. I think that's exactly it. Like, and I think it boils down to the like. Trump's like his ace in the deck is his finance stuff, but it's also his it's there's an underlying he's for the common person,
right?
Whereas the Democratic Party, and this guy was writing as a Democrat, has become too intellectual. So it's not an anti-intellectual kind of thing. It's just an anti-elitist and looking down at me thing. I think anyway, we're hopping back and forth, but I love Frost. Yeah, but I love Frost, and that's probably what. Hopefully, you don't post this till after Sunday, because I'm probably going to preach on this, because the lectionary text is from Acts is just being a witness.
Yeah,
and I love pragmatic stuff like that too.
These I think are my favorite readings of the entire gospel year. So the book is Surprise the World: 5 Habits of Highly Missional People. And the PDF of it's available on Navigators, I think. Like I think you can get the PDF for free, but you can also buy the book. The book is cool. It's a little different than the PDF, but it's not much. The content's basically the same.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, well, my one quote from Michael Frost, because he was in Houston when I was down in San Antonio. We went to this. He was speaking. He defined the missional church probably better than anybody.
Yeah, he's
and
really good.
The last time I checked in, but I remember what a punch to my face, and I think I remember talking through this back then with you. Was he had this realization? He just said it in this like one of these small groups was. Jesus spent time with people more unlike you than like you. You know, and it was for all Presbyterian pastors, and it was one of those unlocking little truths.
Yeah.
But much like I love things like that. That pragmatic.
He's really good about that stuff.
Where the rubber meets the road. I'm excited. Thanks for bringing up the bells. That's awesome. I think I'll flip a flop. So
Hey, real quick before you get to that,
Yeah.
when you're looking at the stuff you're preaching this weekend,
yeah,
I think the most powerful insight from those passages is what is it that allows the disciples to go from being locked in the room in John 20
yeah,
to standing up to the authorities that they were hiding away from in John 20 in Acts 5. If you can get your congregation to see what it is that changes that, then you'll empower them to do awesome stuff in Michigan.
nice. So what turns them from disciples to apostles?
Listen, you have to preach it, bro.
Yeah, what turns them? No, that's the question. Like, what
Yeah.
turns them from disciples to apostles, like sent ones? You know, like
Yeah,
how do they? Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah,
I will. I'll raise that question. That sounds like a dare to me.
yeah. Let that sit with your with your
And I
sermon
dare
prep.
you. You
Make
need
sure
to,
you can answer it. I've already got this one written. I'm set to go. So
I know you need to put the word precipitation somewhere in this thing.
done.
Done.
Adding it right now.
My, I'll dovetail into my number 4.
Yeah.
It is nuggets. But it's
Like chicken nuggets.
no, like nuggets of truth. But once again, John Ortberg. I think I brought this book up already. All the places we go. It's John Ortberg's latest. I know you're not the biggest John Ortberg fan, but he continually surprises me with just putting out profound little truths. Like in the book, The Me I Want to Be, the profound little truth. Well, there's a bunch of them. I think God's blessed this guy with just like profound little truths. But in the Me I Want to Be, he says, we don't fight temptation, we fight isolation when struggling with sin. Because we're all going to be tempted, but it's the community that's going to, he points to AA and all this stuff. I love that part. But this latest book, All the Places We Go, and in chapter 7, the places we go, it's talking about going through different doors that God calls us through. And chapter 7, how do we go through the doors correctly with the right heart? And his nugget this time was he points to Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the Roosevelt guy, and one of the things that people loved about that Roosevelt guy was when he was excited, he would hop up and down. He was like all in. He was like a little kid. He would be all in, and his little. It's not very, poetic or anything, but his insight in this chapter 7 that's really helped me was he says some like stuff around it that was really helpful too, because we always tend to second guess when we're going through these doors, and that's been where I'm at. I'm in Michigan and I'm second guessing, and I'm and he says it's better to go through the wrong door with the right heart than to go through the right door with the wrong heart. And it's been kind of like a Michael Frost-esque, just unlocking truth, like almost like a mantra. As I've thought about it, the more God has been able to like chisel away at my, because he cites all these Old Testament examples, like like Moses and all these people, David, all these people, they thought, okay, this is the way it's going to happen. God's going to call us to this stuff. We're going to succeed, and we're going to be in heaven. It's going to be awesome. But then they go, and then they second guess, like the people out in the desert, like, dude, why did you bring us out here? And so there's, like a following of God's call, a second guessing, a really confusing and angry part, and then a deepening of faith, and then some fruit. And sometimes the fruit never comes, Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean success. And so it's interesting. I don't know if it's weird how God tends to, because I hate the title "The Me I Want to Be,"
Yeah.
and I hate a lot. I think we can lump Ortberg in a lot of times with the Kincaid and the jumping to the
Yeah.
answer before knowing
Yeah.
the question. But for some reason, it's almost like a journal that God has written to me. These books that Ortberg, I kind of hate it, but I also
Well, that makes us the same because I definitely hate it. But you read them. I don't read them. That's I can't do it.
He's got these huge truths in the middle of that stuff. You know.
So this is the sacrilege of my whole life. But I don't like C.S. Lewis either. Like it's like it gets me in trouble, and I know it. But
I love that.
This is the same thing. Like it might just be John Ortberg. Might be somebody that I just need to have friends who like John Ortberg because, like your quote's great. Like I love the point there is spot on, and we've all experienced it, right? And we've all. I mean, the other side of that may be that there are no wrong doors. Period.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The matters of the heart might be the thing that matters, and then doors, whatever, right? Like you go where you. This is one of the things we're working with college kids who always want to know where God's calling them or where He's leading them. And it's like, listen, get your heart fixed, and go wherever you feel like your heart's telling you to go, and then. You know, God's going to work there. I have no idea if you should be there or not. I know God's there already, right? Like, I have no doubts about that. And so find out what God's doing and do that. Like, that's good. Like, that'll work. But, there's something, you're right. We'll do that at a different podcast. I'm not going to deconstruct John Ortberg right now. But,
we should
I do appreciate the quote. I do appreciate the quote.
We should do a top 5 reasons you hate C.S. Lewis. 5 best reasons.
Oh man, dude. At different points in this podcast today, I thought, we could really send this around to people, and people might really like this. And now I'm not sure.
No, we could say 5 best ways that G.K. Chesterton's better than C.S. Lewis. I think we could do that.
I like that one. That one's better.
Do that one. For somewhere along the way, just talking, I wanted to shout out to Laura Keene. You're still working with Laura Keene?
Yeah, she's awesome.
She posted last Thursday on Maundy Thursday, and like I said, this Holy Week, this whole Lent thing has been better than it's ever been. But she posted where we were a couple.
That's right. Yeah, I wasn't there. You keep thinking I was at that one, but I wasn't. But yeah,
you were at the next one, right?
I don't know that I was at either of those. That was the Mississippi trip, though, right?
Did you ever go to Mississippi?
Nope, never went to Mississippi.
Well, I just wanted to give Laura Keene just a big old high five or a hug or whatever you feel appropriate,
I will do it.
A fist bump or whatever, because that like magnified my Maundy Thursday.
That's awesome.
Just wrapping in the history and where God has brought my journey. It's so cool when our personal journeys intersect with the church's journey. Let's just keep going. Ortberg was my number 4, I believe. All the places we go.
That's right. So my number 4 is something that I'm really surprised at, but it's definitely one of the better things this week. The rise of newsletters. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen this or not, or if this is connected with you yet. But for some reason, I have. So my buddy, our buddy Phil Majorns, shout out to Phil, has taken on this like discipline of doing a weekly lectionary letter that he sends out in newsletter form, and it's just like all the readings and just different resources and prayers and like services and songs, and I sent him a note. He's only done one, and I got it on Monday. But it's the most helpful thing I've seen in terms of putting a service together and thinking through the stuff in sort of a snapshot. It's just really cool.
He sends them via
email.
Huh?
So these email newsletters. Yeah, and so I've fought it for years because I've always been like, nobody reads newsletters. Like it's in my head, it's like an old medium that doesn't make any sense. And like when I get newsletters from churches or whatever via email, I just delete them. I don't think I ever even read pretty much any of them. But so his came out on Monday and was great. Bill Simmons, who used to work for ESPN, started doing a newsletter in the last couple of weeks, and it's just like it's basically like a website but in your email. So you just get all this content and you pick what you want to read and you read it. And what it reminded me of is there used to be this thing called Google Reader that doesn't exist anymore, but it would just pull off the blogs you wanted to read. And so you could go and read, you could read the content that you wanted without having to go through the internet, which sounds really lazy and weird, but it was super helpful because it was less distracting and it was easier to get the material. But these newsletters are kind of doing the same thing. And there's another guy, his name is Shea Serrano. He's a basketball writer who lives in Houston, I think, but he's from San Antonio originally, and he used to work at Grantland when that existed on ESPN. He's hilarious and really funny, brilliant writer, and he started just a basketball newsletter, so I picked that one up too. And they I don't know, I never thought I would live in a day where there'd be newsletters as a thing that people our age would read or look forward to, but now I totally do. So I don't know what we'll do with that, but it's both of them were all of those have been really interesting. Phil's has been just it's an amazing, if nothing else, it's an amazing time saver because he's put so much of the kind of the basic research you would do into one spot, so it's so much easier to use. But so yeah,
that's
newsletters.
gold, man.
Yeah,
I want in on that. I just texted him. I need to be in the newsletter. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, get in on that, man.
Because isn't that weird that we're swinging back that way?
Yeah, well, it's about content, right? Like, I think that's the part.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's not about, like, at some point, and this has always been true of the internet, but people don't realize it, I think. Like, the internet has created more jobs for writers than almost anything else. And it's like, it's weird because it's destroyed newspapers in certain ways. But
yeah,
if you can write, there's so much content that has to be filled up. Like, every website has writing that has to be done on it. Like it's not just pictures and videos. There's words everywhere. We just don't realize it because we get kind of distracted by the pictures and the words. But yeah, to be able, like, if you can figure out how to get people the content they want without everything else, I think you win, right? I mean, I think that's the phase of the game we're in right now.
Yeah, that's really good. I just you never would have guessed that,
No.
I would, because I remember being 20 and being in the church, and the newsletters were the rage,
Oh yeah.
And I remember
using
everybody,
clip art and
yeah, and everybody was like, "You can't mess with the newsletter. It's like messing with theology, like
it's
all
too
these
important.
churches
Yeah,
were-
it's the only way people know what's going on.
Yeah, and then they were anti-newsletter.
Yeah.
That's and then we're swinging back, and I can't agree with you more about content and substance. There's just no faster way to get them out.
Right.
A pictures are 1,000 words, yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think let's go to my number 5.
Yeah, let's do it.
And my number 5 is a bicycle. As part of my Lent, I gave up Amazon, and thus there's no there's still no camera. But I've kind of got addicted to the small town, the small shop, the cool, the intentional. I love that bells thing. It goes back to that bells thing. Like just shaking hands with somebody who isn't a follower of Jesus or just isn't in your circle.
Yeah.
And buying things with that in mind. So I ended up going, we needed some new tubes because we just moved out to Michigan and we needed some new tubes for all these tires in our bicycles. So I went to the local bicycle store and I ran across, don't remember his name, but the coolest bike guy I've ever met, Yes, it's like he had a wrinkle for every bicycle ride he'd been on, because he's a wrinkly guy and just tough. He's like a out of a movie kind of character. He's got an Old West, but he has these bikes that are coming through his store, and he's working on them, and he just cherishes the corner of the world
Yeah.
that he's been placed. Like he doesn't. It's not like he didn't dream. He doesn't want to be a cyclist. He doesn't want to be, a movie star. He doesn't want to be. He wants to own a bicycle store in Muskegon, Michigan, and look at bikes and help people pick out helmets and help people get their bikes going. And
Oh, that's awesome.
and he's got all these classic old bikes that kind of come through. So he has these really nice old, like Schwinn's and just like really old stuff that you could tell he's just loved back into existence. And then he's got those next to the newest, the greatest. Like he's got like these. These bikes that you could buy that go on double centuries, and you could bike up. It's just a mixture of everything bicycle in his little world, and you could tell he wants little old, little new, little middle of the road, and he just wants to help people in bicycling. Like I don't know.
That's awesome. What's the name of the shop?
It's called Cycle Works.
Nice.
Yeah, so. I'll go back. I don't know, because I bought the kids. Elsie grew out of her helmet. She's been biking. She's just learned how to bicycle.
Nice.
Yeah, 6-year-old. Yeah, so she's
awesome.
just she can't really start herself. So I just kind of hold her straight, and then she starts pedaling. Yeah, she's ridiculous. I like that little lady.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So
and you guys can bike now. Like enough of the snow's gone and all that.
Yeah, it's supposed to snow on Saturday. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous on Easter. This is my biking tour. Here's what I got all the bikes going. So I got my bike. I dropped my van off at the mechanic, which is a couple miles from my work. So I thought I would bike on Monday. So it's Sunday, gorgeous. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna bike tomorrow. It's gonna be awesome. Monday, it's like 20, and the sun just disappears. So I take my van to the mechanic. I just stick him with my plan. The mechanic looks at me and goes, "Kind of a bad day to bike, right?" I'm like, "Hey, yeah, totally." So I just bike the rest of the way. I lose a couple toes. It's just the price you pay.
Yeah, you just got the price you pay. Cost of doing business. Cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but Cycle Works. It's on Sherman and right near the 31.
Nice.
Or Interstate
31, yeah.
Or 31, not
yeah.
the 31.
Yeah, you're not in California anymore.
Oh
31.
Yeah. Let's go get some barbecue.
Oh man! All right, my last one is.
Before you do your last one,
Yeah.
what do you guys call those hot dogs wrapped in a pastry?
Oh,
there in Texas?
kolaches.
Disgusting. That's my word of wisdom for that. When you hear the word kolache and you're in Texas, run.
Don't do it.
It's a donut wrapped hot dog.
It's not a donut. It's like a pig in a blanket, but it's bigger and better bread.
And grosser.
It's delicious.
Okay, Germans. I'm German, so I could pick on it, but
It is
Germans
German,
do-
yeah. It's not even like Hispanic or anything. It's just German.
It's filthy. That's what it is. Keep going. Sorry,
Hey.
you're number 5.
Hey, no problem. Just jump in anytime you want, Jason. Don't feel bad that I haven't started number 5 yet, and it's time for me to start 5. All right.
Hit it.
So for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been doing a guy's Bible study on Tuesday mornings, and it's stupid early. Like we get up at like 6 o'clock and go to this little Mexican restaurant and have breakfast tacos and just do Bible study. And we've had the makeup of the group has shifted quite a bit and gone different places and all of that, but it's just one of those like steady things in my life that has been really, really good for me. And I was thinking about it. I never really know when to throw it into our 5 best, but it's just the consistency of having a group of guys that are all about the same age as you, who are going through similar things or at different stages of it. Like one of the guys in our group is a little bit older than me. That's a year or two, but he had older kids, so he's gone through high school stuff already, and now I'm in the middle of going through high school with one of our kids, and it's like, man, being able to kind of pick his brain a little bit here and there, and we've got a bunch of guys that have like new babies, and so they're asking the old vets how to do it and all that. But it's just been a huge source of life for me, and like an accountability piece kind of over the course of the last 5 or 6 or 7 years or however long it's been. A little while, but I don't know. Like I was thinking about that in relation to one of our friends moved from that study to Chicago, and he came back last week just to kind of touch base and see everybody, and it's really cool to be able to share life like that. And I know like you and I met that way doing that sort of thing, and we would meet once a week, and there's just I'm thankful that God chooses to work on those mornings when you just show up because you're supposed to show up, and you just get out of bed because it's that time to get out of bed, and like you don't want to let your buddies down or whatever. And sometimes the Bible study is really good, and sometimes the fellowship's really good, and it's just, on the whole though, it's just such an important part of my life that I don't know. It's always one of my 5 best probably. I just never really say it out loud, so I just wanted to give a shout out to the Tuesday morning guys group that meets. So
yeah, and I think that's one of my favorite pieces of being alive is that what you're naming. It's and I'm missing that piece a little bit. I have one on Tuesday mornings. It's stupid early, but it's mainly me leading a bunch of older guys. So it's a weird kind of dynamic. But at all my places I minister, that's been one of my favorite parts. And anybody listening to this, I couldn't. It's a 5 best of life, I think.
Yeah. I think if we were going to do a podcast themed around just like 5 best Christian practices, that's super high on that list for me.
And same with me. And I remember I've always known the value of it, but lacking the value, like lacking it in my life right now. It's a missing piece, and I long for it. I can't wait for it. I have a cool story about that. We were I was ministering at St. Andrews in Newport Beach, and one of the youth workers, I think he was either Young Life or FCA or one of those leaders, he said, "Hey, do you want to see the most miraculous thing, I think, in the world?" And I said, "Sure, that sounds awesome." And he was a college kid, a little younger than me, and he said, "Meet me at this address tomorrow morning at 5 in the morning." I was like, okay. So I met him at this address, and it was right near a church. And so we walk into this church, and there's a practice at this church from 5 to 6 in the morning. It's just men in silence praying. Whoa. And then from 6 to 7, it's a men's Bible study. It's in Irvine somewhere. I could look up if anybody needs it, I don't know, comment on this podcast and I can find it for you. But this college kid's perspective and his words of saying this is the most amazing thing, one of the most amazing things in the world, is almost an understatement,
Right. Yeah.
When you think of how much change is going on in your weekly Tuesday morning Bible.
Yeah.
And just your lives and ultimately the world. Like I think as this is happening worldwide, it's just powerful. It is one of the most beautiful things in all of creation.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, that's the thing, right? I don't have anything more to add to it than that.
Yeah.
But find a group like that gives you life that you can connect with, that you can pray with and share stories with, and accountability and Bible study and all that. Like it's just super important.
Yeah, it is. Excellent, man. Well, it's been a good one. I love your face, and I love seeing you, and I love talking.
Don't say that. See, now people are gonna hear that, and it's gonna be weird. And why do you got to end that way, Jason?
I shave my beard. I miss it.
Yeah, I can't even see it, so it doesn't
Okay.
matter because I got this like still picture of you from a while ago. So.
All I can say is that's a lot of face.
It is a lot. It is a lot of face. It's
When
a
I
lot
got
of
no
face
beard.
to love.
Yeah, it's a lot of face. All right. I'll
All right,
see
brother.
you again next week.
Sounds like a plan.
Best, five best, five
Five
best.
best. Remember to subscribe and like us on iTunes, and it'll make it easier for other people to find. So we hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.